What is Next.js? Next.js is a React framework that helps us build more performant React applications. If we go to Next.js.org, we can get a comprehensive list of all of the things that Next offers us. The main thing it offers us in building React apps, though, is server-side rendering. If you're not familiar with server-side rendering, let's take a look at client-side rendering first, the default behavior, so to speak, of React applications. Currently, I have a React app open in my browser. I'm going to right-click and hit View Page Source. We want to take a look at the markup that's generating what we see on the page. If we look at what we have in the source, we don't have much. We have some HTML tags, a meta tag, a link, head, body, and then we get down to the set of script tags. And this script references a JavaScript file, main.whatever.js. This JavaScript file is what's responsible for populating everything on the page, generating all of the HTML. In the source code, we don't have any image files, anything like that, any image tags. Everything's being created dynamically with JavaScript, and all this JavaScript comes down when the page loads and then executes in order to display all that we have. If we go to Inspect, we right-click, hit Inspect, go to the Network tab, we can see everything that's being sent down when our page loads. The first thing that's being sent to the client is our HTML file, but our HTML file doesn't contain that much. It even includes some text that tells users that if they don't have JavaScript enabled, that they need to enable it. JavaScript is a requirement for using our React single page application. And then what we get right after that, as you might expect, is we get all of the code, all the JavaScript code sent down as this minified JavaScript file. Only then can we make use of everything else that comes afterward, all of the JSON data and then all of the images. So the issue with this is we might be sending a lot of JavaScript down to our application if we're not careful. We might not be optimizing it, and this can result in a very bad user experience where the page takes a very long time to load, or it takes a long time to be interactive. It takes a long time for our users to interact with the page. So in such a case, our users might be frustrated, or they might just leave the page entirely. We don't want that. So a potential alternative is server-side rendering. Instead of waiting for all the JavaScript to be loaded with the initial page load to create the markup, why don't we just execute the JavaScript on the server? This is the key idea behind server-side rendering and what Next makes so easy. So if we take a look at Next.js.org, it's a Next application, so it's a server-rendered React app. If we look at its page source, we can see a bunch more stuff. We have the HTML tags, meta tags, but we also have stuff like some CSS rules. If we go down further, we see more meta tags, a title, some SVGs. So a lot of this stuff is being rendered on the server. It's not just HTML content, it's not just static content. It ultimately is static content, but this code here, these elements were created by JavaScript that was executed on the server. It was React code executed, and then when we get the markup from that executed JavaScript code, we send it down as an HTML file down to the client. We look at the Network tab for our Next app. We'll see that the first thing that we get is also an HTML file, but we get a bunch more content. We get a lot of the initial content that we need, and quite a bit of it is coming from JavaScript code that's being executed on the server. And then once we have all of that markup loaded in the page, then we can let the JavaScript that's being sent down right afterwards take care of everything. It can make our page responsive, our app responsive, just like a single page app. So that's one big issue, performance issue, that Next can help with. Another issue when we were creating important apps that we want to be high up on the search results. We want to show up whenever people search for our application, our websites, is search engine optimization. We want these bots that are part of finding information on the web, finding information about websites that crawl, so to speak, through our applications and find important details like the description, the content of our sites. It needs to be able to go through some content. It needs to be able to figure out what our website's about. And the issue with a client rendered application, once again, if we look at the sources, when we only have a JavaScript file that might not be sent immediately with all of the initial HTML, what does the crawler have to go off of? If we want our websites to be high up on the search results, the crawlers that go through our page need to know what's on it, and in order for them to know what's on it, we have to make all of the content of our apps readily available. So we can do that with the help of server-side rendering. Again, I don't want to talk too much in this video, just want to cover the main aspect, the main reason why you'd want to use Next.js and instead of a different tool in creating React applications. Of course, we'll touch on all of the additional great features that Next comes with in future videos, so stick around.